Hello everyone, my name is Charmander, my name is Matt Reed, and welcome back to Movie Snobs, Halloween edition. For this episode, I have a rare opportunity. I won't be talking about a movie in the theaters, and quite frankly, I don't want to. I will be talking about a movie that I personally love, one that is not so recent, being 6 years old. That movie is Cabin in the Woods. Cabin in the Woods is an irony within itself, a contradiction if you will. The movie is described as a comedy horror, a genre it fills out all too well. Cabin in the Woods contradicts itself at every corner and spits in the face of classic horror movie tropes. It points out the stupid decisions that most people groan at during other scary flicks, and it provides an actual explanation as to why they are doing the things they are, so you're not upset about them afterwards, all while fulfilling every cliche in the book. First, let's talk about the plot. The plot is a twist on a classic horror movie, evident from the name itself. From the trailer, it was my understanding that the movie would be just another horror film, so I skipped it in theaters. The horror comedy defied my expectations from the start, with a plot twist in the opening scene. What seems to be a normal getaway turned violent for our main characters is actually an orchestrated ritual sacrifice put on by a nameless organization assumed to be the government itself in an attempt to satisfy some godlike overlords. Putting the characters in a situation like this has its own rewards, as far too often in a horror movie there are certain occurrences that have people saying things like, "Oh, of course that played out like that." In this movie, the sequence of events are shown to be controlled by a carefully planned out series of departments coordinating everything from pheromones that make people more likely to make foolish decisions to dynamite-caused cave-ins to block off other exits. These refreshing changes to the movie mix-up as the horror genre that this movie wants and adds a new layer of obstacles that the protagonists must now overcome. Let's now dive into the characters in detail. The characters were perfect, and you had every cliche within the group. The five covered all their bases. We had the smart nerdy girl, the jock, the peace-loving free spirit, the blonde cheerleader, and the well-rounded nice guy love interest. These five were all too perfect, and I'm surprised that they weren't self-aware about their roles. Even though they were placed into these categories, they bled out of their guidelines. Often, the peace-loving free spirit was funny and made the smartest decisions. The jock was protective over the group instead of being the classic bully, and the smart nerd made decisions that didn't follow logic. This was done on purpose, the directors deciding to make the viewers self-aware that what they were watching was cliched but not completely predictable. Now that I've gone over the victims, I'm going to go over the characters on the other side of the curtain, the puppeteers. The people running the show were phenomenal. They were funny and cut the tension every time for the short amount they were on screen. The ritual performers were able to take the horrors on screen for the college students and squish them down to a menial task that bores most of the employees to trivialize the experience even. I've saved the best for last now with the humor. It's been 6 long years since this movie was released, a movie that I've seen over a dozen times and done extensive research on. After 6 years, rewatching this movie again, the jokes still made me laugh. Yeah, some of the jokes were predictable, but that doesn't mean that they weren't entertaining. The thing that stood out about all this was the timing. The timing of these jokes was impeccable. I have never had a moment of a drawn-out joke or something where humor was intended, but not found. It was impressive. In the end, this movie is on my top 10 list. It's funny, action-packed, it thrills, it chills, and it kills. And it's a 9 out of 10 in my book. I love it. Well, that's all the time I have for you today. If you have any thoughts or questions, feel free to let me know on our Twitter at ZTVGoofingOff using the hashtag Movie Snobs. My name is Matt, and thank you for watching Movie Snobs.